Hello, 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 and happy Monday. I am super excited to be here with you today. Today is day two of the Spotlight interviews with one of the six amazing speakers that will be speaking at the Cosmic Evolution Summit taking place in October 27th for that matter. Super excited to be here with you. Now, if you're not sure who I am, Reverend Joanne Andrew Barry Cologne, the founder of Holistic Fitness NY. I am I do serve and help women over 40, helping them to get strong and reminding them the weights of their friend. I'm a holistic integrated teacher, Reiki master, medical astrologer, master of numerology, card creator, card reader, and there's so much more to me. I'm just going to take a minute. If I look distracted, I'm just going to take a minute to make sure we are streaming where we need to be streaming. So hang in there with me. This may give you a minute just to grab a little water if you don't have your water yet. And get yourself situated. And then we're going to dive right into a fun interview. All right, so we are streaming on YouTube. If you are there, please go ahead and hit the thumbs up button, share this out with everybody. And then we're going to go over to, I know we're streaming on Twitter already, so there's no need to go there. And we're going to land on Facebook. We're going to land on Facebook land. Make sure we are there. And we are. So if you are here watching, do me a favor and share this out. Share this to your friends, share this to your group, share wherever you want to share it at, as I'm going to do the same. So give me 1 second, just tabbing it in. And then, of course, I'm going to invite some folks to come and watch with us, see who is around. And know that if for whatever the reasons are, you're not able to catch this with us live, you can always catch this on YouTube where it will obviously be uploaded and available from this day on. Let's see. Give me a moment. Phone is not cooperating. Isn't that funny? All right. It's going to take another minute. All right, so there we go. So if you are here with me, like I said, please go ahead and let me know that you are here. And I'm super excited. Like I said, today is day two of the Spotlight interview. I am here, which I will be introducing to you, the guest of the night, the amazing Tammi Moses. She is the founder of the Hoarding Solution. She is also a USA vet, podcast host, and content creator. Her topic that she will be speaking about on the actual summit is all about detachment brings clarity, letting go to make connections. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about that as we get closer. So let me go ahead and bring in Tammi. Tammi, bring it on. And there she is. Hello, Tammi, how are you?
Hello, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm excited. I'm magnificent. I'm joyful. Do you feel all that energy that I am?
I do feel that.
Excellent. So for our viewers, what's going to take place tonight is I'm going to be asking Tammi some personal questions and maybe some professional questions just so we can get to know who she is. Now, being transparent about things, I know a lot about Tammi. Tammi and I do a lot of behind the scenes work together, so I know a lot about her. And I'm here to share her with you so you get to know a lot about her as well. So here we go. We're going to dive right in to my very first question that I'm curious of, which is quite interesting. Tammi, what was your favorite thing to do as a child?
I love to read, and I still read a lot to this day. It helped me learn about other places that I'd never been yet, and it also helped me. It was my escape, I think. So even today, I still read a lot. Recently, I've started reading some fiction, which I haven't been reading fiction in a long time. So it's kind of a a different track for me to go on, but I still read even to this day.
And do you have a favorite author that you sort of follow and collect all their books and reading?
Um, I guess I kind of have an eclectic collection. Um, I when I was a kid, Charlotte's Web was my favorite book, and
Ooh.
uh, it was one of the ways my mom could convince me to go to church was I could bring my book and sit quietly. So I I'm reading some books right now uh, about Florida and like Havana, and I just Cuba, which is like a whole different topic for me, but um, it's very interesting to read about um, the history part as well as just having that part of the country come alive for me, that part of the world.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Now, where you live right now, do you get to celebrate? Well, not celebrate, but do you get to enjoy all four seasons?
Yes, we do have all four seasons. Right now it's getting starting to get chilly. It's moving toward fall. Um, and we generally get some snow, a foot to maybe a little more, depending on what's going on. Um, the leaves are starting to change now, to change colors. So I really like this time of year when
I was just going to ask you, what is your favorite season?
I really like fall. I like to see the changing colors. It makes me think of my dad. His birthday's in September, and it it just there's a briskness, but you can still work outside without a coat. um, I could personally probably skip winter altogether. Just not a fan of cold and mud, but where I live in Washington State, rain is, at least the area I'm in, rain is a big factor in keeping it green. So I'm learning to appreciate uh, the fact that it has to rain in order for it to keep its green and make it a place people want to actually visit.
Yes, yes. And how about summer? Considering you mentioned the three of the four, what's your feel about summer?
I enjoy summer. I do like spring, the later spring when you're planting the garden, things like that. Um, I like the warmer temperatures in about the 70s, maybe anything above that, 80s, 90s here is it's kind of unseasonal to have that be that warm. But I do enjoy not having to wear a coat. I enjoy being able to walk barefoot in the grass, like so. Um, I feel like I'm a kind of a summer fall kid, even though I was born in January.
There you go. There you go. And holidays. Which is your favorite holiday? Do you have a favorite holiday?
I've always loved Christmas, and I still do. When I moved about 3 years ago, I downsized a lot of stuff. So lately, my Christmas decorating has been kind of minimal, but I enjoy the decorations, but I think I enjoy the ambiance, the kind of the attitude of the holidays where you're just in general, I feel a little more forgiving of ourselves, of other people. Family doesn't always bring out the best in us. So
Yeah.
um, I
Very
know
true.
holidays can be super challenging. And I've experienced that as well. But um, I like the lights. I like wrapping the presents. I just like that whole, I guess, the giving part of being able to just really um, be aware of what other people like and try to really be intentional about the gifts that you give or and so I feel like it is an opportunity to really pay attention to the people in your life, and Plus, I used to bake cookies, like Christmas cookies. I bake them all the time, and nowadays it's kind of like, should I even do that? Given the sugar
Ah,
and all that, being more aware of it. But anyway, I really like Christmas and that
yes.
whole
And,
time period.
and I get a big yes. You should definitely continue baking your cookies and put aside the whole concept of, oh my God, it's the sugar. How often do you bake Christmas cookies? Really? Once a year, right?
Right.
Unless of course you're gonna do baking for, let's say, Thanksgiving and Valentine's, then that even then, why not? Why not? You're here to live life, right?
Right. And they have like the love languages, right? And I think cooking is a love language. There was a period of time um, where it used to bring me a lot of joy to do that. And then I really went through a lot of things in my own life where I was like, well, I just don't feel that. I just don't feel it. I eat because I need to stay alive. And over the past 6 months or so, since we've moved into our house and everything, it's become more like, oh yeah, remember, you really liked this, you really enjoyed doing this and making that, and sharing it. And so I'm kind of rediscovering that. And I think
Hmm.
it's something we go all of us go through seasons like that. And it's just something I'm kind of rediscovering. And look, I made a pretty good pie. I can make a better pie crust than I ever could before, but it's practice.
Yes, yeah, yes. I was actually just telling my husband today, in my next life, I'm gonna come back being able to cook because my neighbor down below me, she's a great cook. I can smell all the things she cooks, and it's like wow. Like I was coming up yesterday from being out, and as I'm walking up the stairs, I'm like, wow, I want to go knock on her door and ask if I can have whatever she just made because it smells really good. So yeah, not my forte. Don't cook. I can cook to survive, but nothing like like ziti or lasagna. Nothing in that nature. So I appreciate somebody like yourself who can bake, who likes to cook. So yeah, all good there. So moving on to the next question, talking about the things you like to do. Claim to fame. Do you have any?
Well, I would say there were not a lot of us that joined the military right out of high school, and I joined the Navy because I wanted to travel and I wanted to escape from everything. And so it at the time it was a little unusual for a girl to go in the military, especially a church kid who sang in choir and youth group missionary trips and all this. And um, so I guess that would be my claim to fame at this point. I'm not sure what else there would be that you know sets me
Yeah.
apart that much.
Yes. Well, I'm sure down the road there'll be other things that you can contest to being claimed to fame. So, and as I mentioned to the audience, that I do know Tammy a little bit more because she and I chat a lot on the behind the scenes, and I know that Tammy has a very special gift when it comes to connecting with the other side. And I know that she has a special someone that she speaks to a lot. Would you care to share a little bit about the connection you have with your brother?
So my younger brother had Duchenne's muscular dystrophy, and basically it's a muscle wasting disease. And that muscle weakness, eventually the heart gives out, basically. And he was 27 and I was 29 at the time he passed away. And there's times when I feel like I'm really old, like I should not have known about what death really meant at such a young age. But I do think that has given me an incredible sense of empathy for all sides of that. The kid in the wheelchair doesn't quite fit with, high school, and for my parents, what they went through as the older sibling. Um, well, we had hoarding issues when I was growing up. My parents did. We didn't call it that then, but I felt extremely guilty for leaving him behind when I moved out, um, my senior year of high school. But we always maintained a relationship and laughed and did things together, even as kids. The movies, or we used to go down the road and pick huckleberries, and so I had a lot of fond memories of him. And even now, in the work we're doing where I live and reclaiming the property where we grew up, I feel a real sense of joy from him, and that he is celebrating the work that we've been able to do here. And I always felt very close to my brother, um, partly because we lived out of town, and so there was just the two of us a lot of the time, as kids playing. And it, we had an agreement as kids. I would play Legos, and he would have to play Barbies. Uh, so we kind of, I think, when you have a sibling, I feel like you kind of learn how to negotiate.
Mm. You definitely know how to share, that's for sure.
And my dad told us that, I don't know, we were fighting when we were younger, and he said one time we just wouldn't quit, right? He tried everything to get us to stop, and he he handed us two sticks. And he was like, "Well, not go at it." And he's like, "But you did go at it." And I had to take your sticks away, because we were just, I don't remember why or whatever, um, but we were younger then, right? And then once I started to realize the medical conditions he had, and there was a shift for me into more, I'm a kind of caretaker advocate for you, not your big sister that just wants to, beat you up because you followed me around today. It just, it shifted the dynamic. But even then, we were still friends. We still had conversations. I had a lot of conversations with him when he lived in a nursing home, which, as a 20 something, you're in a nursing facility because your care needs are so high. Like, that's a weird place to be as 20-year-old kid or person.
Yes.
But we still had, he loved to laugh. He had a great sense of humor. He was always figuring out a way to freak people out by playing like a moo sound on his wheelchair CD player, that the high school um, electronics club put on for him. Like, he was always trying to find a way to kind of bring humor despite his own struggles. And I think that humor is a huge factor in surviving whatever you're going through.
Yes. Now, staying in the conversation with your brother, how often do you call on him when you need insight, clarity, or you're just maybe feeling the blues and you want that humor to show up?
I I would say I sense him a lot more than I actually call on him. But I will say something like, "Oh, well, nice of you to show up today," or "Hi, I see you." And uh, I have an aunt as well that passed away not that long ago, and it's kind of the same thing. Right after she passed away, I was driving. There was a cat that showed up, and I was like, "Okay, hi," And so it's kind of that type of awareness, I guess I would say, of that connection. Um,
Yes.
I
Yes.
don't, I don't believe we live in the cemetery, right? But I recently went to see the great headstone where my dad and my brother are buried, and um, it's more just an acknowledgement of it. But there's times when in my head, I'm like, all right, well, what do I do now? What am I doing? What do I do with this situation that no one else is all that familiar with, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so it's kind of, I guess it's this kind of a similar way that I interact with God. Like someone asked me recently, what's my spiritual like connection like? And I'm like, it's kind of an ongoing conversation constantly. And not like I'm sitting in my talking out loud, 24/7, but it's mentally, I'm like, yeah, I'm connected to that. I feel it. I'm aware of it. I listen to, hey, you know what? You should turn here. Why? I don't need to go that way. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter. You just go this way because that's kind of your intuition saying, and I've kind of adopted that same attitude around stoplights and things like that. There's probably a reason why I'm going to sit here, or there's a reason why I'm going to go and not be as ticked off about being delayed, just being a little more aware of it. And I'm not saying that happened overnight, right? It took decades for me to get to where I'm at now. So,
Of course. And having the connection with loved ones that's crossed over, giving you the insight, and then you paying attention to them being there, as you said, feeling their energy. So I love all that for you because I'm a big spirit communicator myself. Next question is, and this is quite interesting considering the conversation we just had. If you can sit with a celebrity for 30 minutes, who would it be and what would you talk about?
oh, I kind of have a list there.
give us,
um,
give us the top one.
well, I would say recently that it's probably Denzel Washington because of the different roles that he's played and the fact that he does not pander to people. He's very real about who he is. And
Mhm.
uh, I read a Reader's Digest article years ago about an army base that he visited, and they were having some kind of issue with the barracks and needing to build another building, and he just said, "How much is it?" and wrote him a check. And I
Uh-huh.
just thought, wow, to be able to do that would be amazing, to have the means. Um, I think conversation with Drew Barrymore would be really interesting. Reese Witherspoon, I think that would be fantastic to hear her things. I know you said my top one, but um, I just see some of the work people do, and um, I just don't know if we pay enough attention to it, And
Yes.
like, well, I was just talking about this yesterday. Denzel, that's why it's top of mind. But like, he did Training Day, and that was a hard movie for me to watch because he's like the bad guy, right? And that's not
Mhm.
inherently how I think of him. I just
Mm.
don't, picture him that way. But I just think, especially in today's climate, that conversations with people that are different than us is very valuable. And clearly, I am not, you know, but plus some of these people, their marriages last, and that's so unheard of in Hollywood often. So just, I don't know. I think it would be real interesting to get that kind of perspective and that kind of conversation. I just feel that that brings people more into awareness and we have more in common than we don't, and I think that's where we
Exactly.
get in trouble. We think
Exactly.
we're
I
so
love that.
different.
I love that. I love that you have a list of people that you would like to chat with for 30 minutes and ask them deep questions, which is nice. Next question for you. What is your deepest desire to fulfill for 2025? I know we still have a good portion of 2024, but I want to bring you into 2025 and see what that desire is. And I always like to believe that when someone asks this question, it's almost like a seed, and that you get a chance to water should you want to water it. So, what is that desire you want to fulfill for 2025?
So, business wise, I would love to have an active, thriving membership group for people that are dealing with hoarding issues. And I'm talking about the family members who frequently see the problem, the professionals that come across it. Could be a real estate agent, it could be social work, could be mental health. It's a huge component. It could be home health. I recently participated in a training with Sarah Barker, where she does this training for home health agencies, and just the connections there are amazing. And I feel like so many people struggle through these situations alone, and you once you discover you're not alone, it's like a breath of fresh air. And so I really want to provide that space
All
for
right.
people.
All right. So, as I always say, that's the vision you have. You now just need to take the action to make it happen. So, the next question, which isn't really such a question, well, I guess it is a question, because I asked all the speakers to submit a quote so I could post it on their graphics. And Tammy's quote was, we are all worthy of an organized space that brings us clarity and connection," which I truly love that quote. So tell us a little bit about that quote, how that quote came about, and obviously we know what it means, but how did it come about?
Well, I really had to ponder what kind of quote would, I wrote down a few versions of it. And what I have found is that a lot of us don't feel worthy of good things, whatever that is. Whether it's socks without holes, whether we're going to get that nice sweater because we can afford it. Um, we don't feel like necessarily like cleaning is self-care, but it really is. We struggle with the idea that we if we've done something in our minds wrong, that we don't deserve other things because of that. And so I have found, not only if someone has a hoarding issue, but if you grew up in that environment or for some reason you have felt devalued, you don't feel worthy of good things. And I see it translating into excessive clutter. And I also see it where you may have escaped it, but you still inherently don't feel more worthy than, the books or the papers or literal trash that you may have encountered. And so it came about because I believe that we need to believe that we are worthy of good things, positive things, safe, clean, organized, picked up. It not only for ourselves but for our family members, our kids. Like, how do you have people in your home if you can't even get in your home? And
Mm-hmm.
it destroys relationships, and it causes so much trauma, and people don't even realize that the reason it's happening is because they just don't feel worthy of anything good. And it breaks my heart when you think about how many people in this world struggle with this problem, with not feeling worthy and all the things that come along with that. I remember a time when I could not even justify spending $5 on myself. Like, I had
Mm-hmm.
the hardest time saying, I'm going to go shopping for everybody else, but oh, I don't need this or I don't need that. And when I went through therapy, part of my homework was you will find a way to spend $5 on yourself, whether it's a
Yes.
bar of soap, lotion, a pair of socks, a new pen. I love to write, so pens and papers are, but just figuring out, and it doesn't have to be huge, right? You don't need to go buy a yacht. You need to figure out incrementally what it is you're willing to do to reinforce that you're valuable. And it doesn't have to be a thing, right? Maybe you want to go to a museum and you just want to walk through it. But I think you just have to figure out what thing is it, or what way are you going to focus on the fact that you are worthy and valuable. And it's inherent. You don't earn it. And for me, that was a big breakthrough. It's that, look, you're just valuable. I believe a child of God, or whatever your faith is around that. You were created and you're here and you're valuable. And let's face it, if you're here, you won that race at conception, okay? You already won at some point. So you just have to figure out how you can keep winning, whatever that means, whatever success looks like for you.
Yes, I love that. So, based on your topic that you're going to be sharing, detachment brings clarity, letting go to make connections. What are you hoping that the audience takes away from that topic?
That things don't have to define you, that you can let things go. It doesn't mean you lose the memory or the connection, which is a lot of the struggle, is that fear you'll lose the memory or connection. Um, but understanding that by letting other things go, you're allowing space, you're creating space to bring things in, or people or experiences. And you do have decisions you have to make. They're not easy decisions, but if you have a big china cabinet and nobody wants it and it's impeding your entire life, then it's okay to take a photo. Maybe you donate it, maybe you sell it, maybe you just ask someone to take it away and you don't want to know what happens to it. But you could also write down historically, like why this was important and who gave it to you, etc. So there are ways to preserve those things, but not clutter up your entire life or your space with it. And the other part is if I've had this conversation where someone's older and they want their child or someone to take this big monstrous object, and they get upset because that new person doesn't want to take it. And
Mhm.
generally there's a reason. They live in an apartment, it's too small, it won't fit, they don't want, whatever it is. It's okay to not get upset about that. It's a boundary for that person. But I see it's very hard to let some of those things go, especially if you spent a lifetime accumulating them or they've been passed down for generations. But just because that exists doesn't mean I'm obligated to take it. And
Exactly.
even that is a hard conversation sometimes, because you bear no ill will. You have nothing negative about it. You just don't want to take on the burden.
Yes, yes, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I am super excited for October 27th when Tammi will be appearing on the Cosmic Evolution Summit. She will be appearing at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. So if you want to learn more about her conversation, I encourage you to circle the date on your calendar, put the time down, and join us then. So, Tammi, thank you so much for coming here and being open to answer all the questions that I asked, to get to know you on a more personal level. I'm looking forward to seeing you on the 27th. And of course, I'll see you before the 27th. As I said, Tammi and I play behind the scenes. So for just a short while, I'm going to send Tammi to backstage just so I can close off our interview for the night. So Tammi, I'm going to put you backstage and I'll come back in a little while with you.
Thank you. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you. So there you have it, guys. I'm hoping that you enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed it. This is again day 2 of the Spotlight interviews. The next Spotlight interview will take place on Wednesday. Let me get that date and time for you so you know exactly. On Wednesday, September 25th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, we will have Nancy Nance coming in, and I'm looking forward to chatting with her. She is one of the spotlight interviewers that I'm not familiar with. So just as you will be learning about her, I will be learning about her as well. So I'm super excited for that. If you are just tuning in, feel free to come back later and rewatch on the replay as we are coming to the end of the Spotlight interview with Tammi Moses. It was an amazing, amazing conversation that I had with her this evening. And again, we'll be back here on Wednesday evening or Wednesday afternoon, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, as I will be chatting with, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, as I will be chatting with Nancy Nance and getting to know all about her as well. Until we meet then, have yourself an amazing night, everyone.